Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Pre-Market News and Views by In the Money Stocks. Today is Thursday, May 3rd, 2012. There's a lot to cover, so let's get right into the charts here. We're going to start off first with the S&P 500 E-mini futures. You're going to see that the futures are trading higher by about 2 points, or maybe a tick less here and there. But either way, trading right down to that 13.99.25, 13.99.50 level. We'll see how this market trades after the unemployment number, weekly jobless claim number, is released at 8:30 this morning. And then tomorrow, the market eagerly awaits the Labor Department's non-farm payroll report for the month of April. So we're just going to have to see how this market plays out today. I'm not expecting all that much action one way or the other unless something happens geopolitically in either the Middle East or in Europe. Then we'll see if these markets move a little bit more. But right now, it looks like the markets are just holding steady at the moment, trading up just a little bit. Futures were a little bit higher about a half hour ago. Obviously, when the U.S. dollar index catches a little bit more of a bid, that's when futures will pull in. And sure enough, you see the dollar has started to rally up a little bit more. Keep this chart on your radar. Once the market opens, U.S. dollar index chart is very, very important, as the major indexes usually will trade inverse to the dollar. On a rare occasion, they'll trade together, but very, very rare is that. Usually takes a light volume session, extremely light volume session for that to happen. So we'll have to watch that dollar index very, very closely. Dollar sells off, the markets will inflate and trade higher. The dollar rallies, the markets will deflate and trade lower. That's pretty much the way it works. A couple of other things to talk about real quick. Looks like Spain had an auction today where they auctioned off, I believe, 2.5 billion euros in 3 and 5 year bonds. Looks like everything was sold. However, yields did go higher, traded up about 5%. And that normally tells us that there's problems there. Obviously, the ECB or other central bankers are buying the bonds. But nonetheless, yields did go up a little bit. So we'll have to watch that pretty closely. There's probably a little bit more action coming out of Europe, but right now the European indexes seem to be holding up pretty well. You do have the Italian market up about a point, 1.25%. The Spanish market up about 1.5%. The German DAX is up 1%. CAC 40 is up, I believe, 1.3%, and even the FTSE, which prints their own money in England, that's up 0.6%. So really, across the board, the European markets are holding up pretty well this morning. And as long as Europe holds up, normally the U.S. markets will do okay. Doesn't seem to be a lot of problems there. But we'll see how this trades as the day progresses. And we'll also have to watch that job report today and job report tomorrow. Tomorrow is the bigger news report, though, when it comes to the non-farm payrolls. Alrighty, let's take a look at a few other things out here. Gold is trading lower by 9 points. The dollar is stronger. Dollar is up 18 cents this morning. Gold is lower, down to $16.45 an ounce. Take a look at the GLD. You'll see this pretty clearly, down to around the 159.76 level. GLD did close at 160.60 yesterday, so all the way up here, and now trading down here. We'll take a look at oil this morning. Oil is trading lower by 25 cents to around the 105 level. That's spot light sweet crude. We'll take a look at the USO, which tracks light sweet crude for the most part. And you'll see here, let me just get rid of these lines. You'll see here that crude is trading at 39.67 a share. Light sweet crude is trading around the 105 level per barrel. So once again, oil is hanging in there, but it is lower to start the day as the dollar is stronger. And that's what we see very, very often. As long as the dollar holds up, you'll get lower energy prices and you will get lower gold prices. Gold is really a good signal for inflation in the economy. So we'll have to watch that pretty closely in a little while. All right, couple of things we want to look at today. There's quite a few stocks out there. I'm going to go through the list. I'm not sure exactly how they are. I'll try to pick out the levels as we go through them. We're going to start with Visa. Visa is trading at $120.30, closed at $122. The stock has decent support around the 117 level, so traders should watch that for Visa around 117, and then you're going to have more support around 111 and then all the way around the 108.50 area. So those would be the levels that I think people should pay attention to when it comes to Visa. Um, right now, I think those are probably good areas. Right now, the 117 looks to be some short-term support. The gap down is fairly decent strength, so we could break a little bit lower, but just watch those levels for a Visa this morning if it does trade down there. Going to talk about Prudential. The insurer came out with earnings. Stock is getting hit a little bit. Prudential closed at $60.94 this morning. It is trading at $57.48. One thing I want to note about Prudential is that it looks like they're taking a loss, and I didn't really read all of this, but it looks like they're taking a loss due to a derivative contract. So that's a little bit interesting. So we'll have to see how this all plays out when it comes to Prudential. But right now, traders should watch a few different levels here. Currently trading at around 57.50. I would watch 56.50. There'll be a little bit of strength, and then really 53.80 would be your next support level. Pierce of $54, and then all the way down to $51.15. And should it break through there, traders would have to watch 48.15. But this is a pretty strong gap down. So I think those levels are all possible. So be careful with this one today, as it could trade lower. Let's take a look at everybody's favorite beloved stock from the government, General Motors. General Motors is selling off a little bit after trading higher all the way up to the 24.40 level. It is in negative territory right now. I don't see anything really significant here as support until this thing gets to around 21.50. 21.50, you'll have your first support level for GM, in my opinion. It might even be 21.20. It's a hard call at this time of the day. But around 21.50, 21.20 will be support. After that, it's $20, and then ultimately $19 again. So be careful with GM here. The gap is a little bit of a weak gap, so I think you could see some bounces around that 21.50 to 21.20, and then $20, and then ultimately $19. They should all give you bounces there because it is a weak gap lower. Let's take a look at Sara Lee, which I believe is SLE. Yeah, there we go. This stock is trading lower today as well. Stock will have a little bit of support at the $21 level. However, this is a strong gap lower. Traders should watch for lower prices in this one. If this level fails to hold at 21, which is really the first line of support that I can see, what you're going to have to look for after this is going to really be down to $19.80, and then ultimately down to $19, and then the next level would be $18.22. So keep all of those levels on the radar. That's what you want to watch for with Sara Lee. This one is a strong gap down, so there's always a chance that those levels could get tested, each and every one of them. So be careful watching that one go down. Those would be your bounce levels, but those bounces may not last all that long. Here's one that is positive today: Whole Foods Market. Whole Foods, the health food store that is the grocery chain, having a nice little pop. It closed at $84 yesterday, traded up to $88. I don't see this thing getting above $88.50 personally. The gap up is not all that strong today, so watch for good resistance around $88.50. It's not a terrible gap, but it's not the strongest gap that I've ever seen, and I think $88.50 is probably pretty good resistance if it does get up there. If it can get up there and establish itself with a base, it always could trade higher, but right now I just don't see it getting higher than $88.50. In fact, it could even be a fade candidate, but you got to be careful on a day like today. The gap is kind of just a little bit on the weak side, so weak gaps can be faded to the upside. However, this one I'd like to see it get to $88.50 before it fades. Let's take a look at GMCR, Green Mountain Coffee Roasters. This one is absolutely getting toasted and roasted today, trading down around $30. There is really not a lot to do with Green Mountain right now. I have some levels here, but ultimately this stock looks like it wants to go lower. You probably have to look at the, sounds crazy, but you probably have to look at the $24 area and then ultimately $20. I don't see really much else for Green Mountain right now. So around $24, watch for some support, and then around $20, watch for more support. But other than that, this is a pretty strong gap down, and it is really getting hammered this morning. So this thing could go lower. I'd watch $24, and then I'd watch $20. Two potential bounce areas, but this is a strong gap. So be prepared that this thing can go lower on a day like today. Let's take a look at Target, TGT. I think the same store sales were weaker than expected. Who cares about the news? We only care about the price. Stock is trading down, has support around 55.50 if it does get down there. So watch Target around the 55.50 level. It's a pretty strong gap lower. However, it's on same store sales, not earnings. So I'd watch that 55.50. I'd also watch 54.50 and then $53. Those would be the levels, near-term levels for Target. If it cut through there, then you have to look at 51.70. But I don't see that happening. I think that $53 area would be very, very good support. Let's take a look at Macy's today. Macy's also reported same-store sales. This stock has been a major winner as of late. Today, coming down a little bit, trading around the $40 level. Again, a lot of support for Macy's around $38.25, maybe $38 even number, but there's still a fair amount of support there. If it breaks through there, be careful, because then it could go lower. I just haven't had a chance to calculate the numbers, but ultimately could go lower. But right now, first line of support for Macy's, and it's a pretty strong gap down, would be around that $38 area, 38 and a quarter, somewhere in that vicinity. But Macy's has been on a roll, and today looks like it's rolling over just in the morning. So we'll see if it can regather itself. But either way, it looks like a pretty strong gap down. So first line of support is 38. I don't have the other levels. Just haven't had a chance to figure them out yet. But I'm going to say 36 would also be pretty good support just looking at the chart. And that's what I'm seeing this morning. Hope that helps everybody. And we'll see what we get once these markets open. In about one more minute, we're going to have the job report released for the weekly jobless claim report released for last week's numbers, and we'll see how the market reacts. Right now, futures are trading higher by about $2. We'll leave it there. We'll see how the market plays out in a few minutes, and it may be a non-event. It may not be much to talk about, but we'll see. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you all on the charts tomorrow. Take care now.